On the morning of September 11, 2025, the peaceful routines of eastern Poland were shattered by an unexpected and alarming crisis. A coordinated swarm of 19 drones suddenly crossed into Polish airspace, their flight paths traced back to the borders with Russia and Ukraine. Polish air defense systems sprang into action, launching interceptors and anti-aircraft missiles in a desperate attempt to neutralize the threat. Several drones were shot down, their wreckage scattered across open fields and farmland, but not all were stopped. One drone crashed into a residential house, causing panic among local residents. Miraculously, despite the destruction, no one was injured, and families emerged shaken but safe. The sheer scale and precise coordination of the drone incursion marked a dangerous new escalation, leaving military experts and officials deeply concerned. Was this a deliberate provocation, a tragic accident, or perhaps a calculated test of NATO's collective resolve and readiness? In response, Polish forces were immediately placed on high alert, with military patrols intensifying along the border regions. Teams of investigators rushed to the crash sites, meticulously gathering evidence to determine the drone's origins and possible intent. Meanwhile, the government in Warsaw convened urgent meetings and began immediate consultations with NATO allies, recognizing that only a unified and coordinated response could address the gravity of the situation and deter further aggression. The message to the world was unmistakable. Europe's eastern flank now faced a direct and immediate threat, demanding swift, decisive action from the entire NATO alliance to safeguard the region and prevent escalation. Poland's leaders wasted no time labeling the drone incursion a deliberate provocation, making it clear to the world that this was not a random accident or a technical error. The message from Warsaw was swift and unequivocal. Poland would not tolerate violations of its airspace, especially at such a tense moment in European security. Prime Minister Donald Tusk called it the closest Poland had come to open conflict since World War II, sending a clear warning to both allies and adversaries. His words echoed through the halls of government and across international news, reminding everyone of Poland's painful history and its determination to defend its sovereignty. At an emergency UN Security Council session, Poland's Secretary of State Marcin Bosaki presented photos of the wreckage and the damaged house, insisting, "We know it was not a mistake." He described the evidence in detail, emphasizing the calculated nature of the attack and the threat it posed to civilian lives. By framing the incident as intentional, Poland invoked NATO's collective defense, making it clear this was a challenge to the entire alliance. The move put pressure on NATO members to respond decisively, reinforcing the principle that an attack on one is an attack on all. As a frontline NATO state, Poland's response set a precedent for how future provocations would be handled. The world watched closely as Polish and NATO forces increased their readiness, signaling that any further aggression would be met with unity and strength. Warsaw's refusal to downplay the event forced the world to confront the implications and demanded a meaningful response. The incident became a defining moment for European security, with Poland at the center of a rapidly evolving crisis that would shape the region's future. NATO answered Poland's call with Operation Eastern Sentry, a rapid deployment to reinforce the alliance's eastern border. Denmark, France, Germany, and the UK pledged fighter jets and warships, while the Netherlands and Czech Republic sent air defense systems. The operation's goal boosts surveillance, strengthen air defenses, and send a message of unity and deterrence. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen summed up the mood: "Putin is testing us." These swift, coordinated deployments transformed the operation into a symbol of NATO solidarity. More allies are expected to join, making Eastern Sentry a formidable deterrent against further aggression. Moscow dismissed the incident, denying any intent to target Poland and claiming the drones couldn't have reached Polish territory. Russia's UN ambassador offered to discuss the matter with Warsaw, a move seen as an attempt to deflect blame and appear reasonable. Belarus suggested the drones were off course due to jamming, providing a convenient, non-hostile explanation. Western capitals met these denials with deep skepticism, seeing them as strategic ambiguity, probing NATO's defenses while maintaining plausible deniability. The dual approach aimed to slow NATO's response and sow division within the alliance. Meanwhile, Russia's broader military posture told a different story. The drone incident erupted at a critical moment, as fragile peace talks teetered on the edge, and military tensions escalated rapidly across the region. The world's attention was fixed on the border, where every move was scrutinized for signs of escalation or compromise. A recent Trump-Putin summit had briefly raised hopes for a diplomatic breakthrough, with leaders exchanging cautious optimism. However, Moscow's intensified bombing campaign in Ukraine quickly shattered those expectations, leaving cities in ruins and civilians in fear. President Trump, addressing the press, warned that U.S. patience was running out as provocations mounted. Ambassador Dorothy Shea stood firm, reaffirming America's unwavering commitment to defend every inch of NATO territory, sending a clear message to both allies and adversaries. Meanwhile, Russia and Belarus launched massive joint military drills near NATO's eastern borders. The timing and scale of these exercises were widely interpreted as a deliberate show of force, heightening anxieties among neighboring countries and NATO officials. Kremlin officials abruptly paused peace negotiations, blaming the West for the impasse and accusing NATO of fueling instability. The diplomatic rift deepened, with both sides trading accusations and refusing to back down. With diplomacy faltering and military assets amassing on both sides, Europe faced a perilous and uncertain moment. Security was tightened in major cities and military convoys moved through the countryside, preparing for any eventuality. The world watched anxiously, uncertain if the next move would lead toward a fragile peace or ignite a much wider and more devastating conflict.